There are a lot of stations in the Netherlands that are more user-friendly than they are beautiful. Which is of course not to say that there aren't any beautiful stations at all. It just depends on your preference, like with most things. If variety is your spice of life, maybe you'll like Utrecht. Maybe one of Amsterdam's many stations are to your liking. Or, if you're mad, you'll like Eindhoven. But one station that will constantly pop up in such a conversation is Den Haag Holland Spoor. It is the oldest station in Den Haag, which I refuse to call The Hague, because you don't call Den Bosch the Woods either, now do you? I mean, come on, have some common sense. It is the oldest station in Den Haag, built originally by the Hollandse Spoorwegmaatschappij, or Holland's Iron Railroad Company, in 1843. The HSM was the first railway company in the country, their first trains running in 1839, and their stations as well as their locomotives were beautifully decorated, august, and most important of all, grand. Literally, the company utilized a broad gauge of 1945mm. In feet, that is exactly the equivalent. Holland Spoor as it appears today is the epitome of an HSM station, but the area wasn't always like this. When, in 1870, the HSM was no longer the only railway in town, once again quite literally, it was decided to upgrade Holland Spoor to try and poach whatever passengers they could from their new rivals, the Rijnspoorweg. Track and buildings were raised in phases, mostly to allow barges and the tramline to Delft to pass underneath, were commencing in 1887. The buildings were completed in 1888, but they couldn't accommodate passengers until 1893. These would be the buildings as you'd find them today. But perhaps most impressive of all is the canopy. Is it a canopy or an overall roof? I can never tell. The canopies are cast iron with great domes in their original centres to let in light. They differ the pattern usually seen in Little Frog Country by having one central canopy over the island platform with one more on either side, protecting the track from the elements. Yet all this grandeur hides a secret. Holland Spoor was not the preferred station. The Rijnspoorweg had their own station in Den Haag, and whilst less grand, it simply had better connections to cities that even the HSM served itself, such as Rotterdam. The HSM was the bigger company, yes, but they were genuinely losing out to the Rijnspoorweg. They attempted to compensate by building more grand stations like Utrecht-Malibaan of 1873 to attract passengers to their lines, but again the Rijnspoorweg just provided a better service. The squabble of the two railways and or their successors didn't end until 1939, when the railways were nationalised under the Nederlandse Spoorwegen. Nowadays, very little physically could possibly hint at Holland Spoor not being the grandest station in the city. Other than losing its goods facilities, which were situated slightly to the east of this shot, it has all the hallmarks of a big station. Though I must say, when I went filming it was a Tuesday and it was hauntingly quiet. Still, Holland Spoor is beautiful. I particularly like the way the light shines through onto the out-of-use Platform 1, and like most people, I'm a sucker for iron canopies. The red brick buildings with what I believe to be concrete finishes make even the platforms to be used by such peasants as myself feel like a palace. As I said in the intro, many people consider Holland Spoor the prettiest station on the network. Groningen might have that title officially, but it has its own, cult following. What, last time I checked, Groningen does not have murals on the side of the housing it's adjacent to commemorating the history of the NS. And maybe the relative serenity of the station adds to the charm. Why, if you're less distracted by the people, or most likely avoiding the people, you will naturally notice the station more. Mind you, this might all be bittersweet for the HSM. Sure, all trains stop at Holland Spoor, but what's the next station up the line? The old Rijnspoorweg station, or, as it is now known, Den Haag Central.